Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. My name is Boston and today I'm going to be reviewing Upright Women Wanted by Sarah Gailey. I actually just finished this book the other day and I knew immediately that I had to do a review on it because I had so many thoughts and there was so much packed into this little tiny book. This is only about 170 pages and it was packed with plot and character development and so many interesting things, which I will get into obviously. But first, let's start off with the synopsis. So this is about a woman. She runs away from her father, who is very high up in this Western world, and it's kind of a dystopian of sorts, which we'll get into. But she runs away because her significant other, I guess, of sorts, her girlfriend, I don't think they were on like girlfriend basis, but they were romantically involved. She is hung for crimes against the state. She was betrothed to this man, and when she's hung, the main character is then betrothed to him. So she runs away because she's not attracted to men. She doesn't want to marry this guy. She runs away, she stows away, she hides in a library caravan of sorts, and she just wants to get away. And obviously the librarians end up discovering her, and they aren't really the librarians you think of when you hear the word librarians. So, I mean, kind of, but they're kind of different because they travel across the country delivering approved materials to the people. So the state obviously controls a lot of what the people are getting and reading and learning about. As you can tell, they're living in kind of a fascist society, which isn't too far off from where we are now. So it's kind of dystopian, but also kind of a parallel. Also, we get a lot of diverse characters in this. So there is a lesbian couple. The main character is obviously a lesbian. There is a non-binary side character and love interest, and just lots of diverse characters. Sarah Gailey, also the author of this book, is non-binary. So that specific rep is what's the word I'm looking for? Own voices. The author's also written When We Were Magic, which is on my TBR for this month, and they also wrote Magic for Liars. That's the other one, which I listened to the audiobook of that. That also has a female-female romance, and it was good. I'm like not into kind of crime stuff, but that one was good and I liked it. So that's besides the point. We're not talking about that. We're talking about Upright Women Wanted. I'm actually gonna put this like back here so I don't have to hold it up the whole time. Ta-da! Let's get into what I liked about this book, because I liked a whole dang lot of it. I gave it 4.5 stars. It may be bumped up to a 5 now, just because I finally understood a certain scene at the end, which is spoilers, so I won't talk about it, but I finally understood it and what it meant, and I think like it makes me like it more. And I knew it would. I knew my brain just couldn't grasp that part at the moment. What I liked, mainly I loved the discussion of pronouns in this. So the love interest of the book is non-binary and they use they them pronouns, but there is a big discussion when the main character first meets this character, that when they go into town like to pass out their materials, the main character is to only refer to them as she, her. And I think that this discussion is so important because so many non-binary people are targeted just for their pronouns, and it is a lot safer for a lot of non-binary people to use the binary gender pronouns. That's what I was going for. And I think that discussion is super important and one that needs to be had, and definitely one that I relate to. And I was like, I feel that, you know? It was kind of like, I get you. I also really loved the depth of the characters. Like I said, this book is 170 pages, but the characters feel really real, at least the main four. So the main character, the love interest, and then the two other librarians, like the main head librarians that run this caravan. And I'm calling it a caravan. I'm not sure if that's what it's called in the book. I can't quite remember, but it's basically a caravan. The two head librarians are probably my favorite characters in the book. They are basically the wise older lesbians that everybody needs in their life. I think they were necessary to the story. Also, the side character that is non-binary, they also had they were just so 3D, and you feel like you really get to know them, which is really impressive because I've read books that are several hundred pages long and they don't have the kind of character building, is that a thing? They don't have the kind of character depth that this book does. So very impressive on Sarah Gailey's part. 5 out of 5 stars. Next, I want to talk about the intersectionality of this book. So this book deals with a lot. It deals with sexism and homophobia, and it may deal with racism. I can't quite remember, but I don't want to like say that it does if it doesn't. But I did like the intersectionality of this book and how it discusses one thing including everything else, you know? Like, it discusses feminism including non-binary people. It discusses like everything in regards to other minorities, if that makes sense. If you know what intersectionality is, you know what I'm talking about. So I don't feel like I have to explain this, but I really liked that aspect, and not a lot of books do that, so I really appreciated it, especially books that were written pre like 2016, maybe pre like 2018, I'd say. Like no books talked about intersectionality and stuff like that, so it was appreciated. And finally, what I really liked about this was the anti-fascism. So like I said before, this state, country, whatever you want to call it, is fascist. It's run by a fascist leader, and like I said before, the approved materials are approved by the state. So basically, imagine if every reading material you were given in school or the libraries had to be approved first by Trump. That would kind of suck, to say the least, but I really liked the way that the story dealt with it, which I won't go into it because it borderline is spoilers, so we'll just leave it at that. Now we're going to talk about what I didn't like, which is really only one thing, and that was the fact that I couldn't quite wrap my head around the ending, or right before the ending, the part leading up to the ending, which it's spoilers, so I won't talk about it, but it also could be the fact that my brain has a hard time wrapping itself around not fleshed out circumstances. If the characters are like alluding to something and being vague about it but not outright saying it, I won't understand it. It has to be spelled out for me, otherwise I won't get it. So it took a lot of deep diving into Goodreads reviews of this to fully understand what happened, and that's definitely a me thing. So if if your brain works like not like mine, then you'll probably really like it and you won't have that problem. I don't think anybody else had that problem, but yeah, I had that problem, so I think it has to be mentioned in this review. And the last thing I want to talk about is just very brief. I want more books in this universe. I want a series of books relating to the librarians that travel the country, and not even from this same main character's point of view. I want a book from the two lesbian old ladies. I want a book from their point of view most of all, and I want to see what they went through and the struggles that they had before this book takes place. That is something I want more than anything in the whole wide world. But yeah, that is going to be it for my review. I hope it was concise, and I hope I don't think I circled around, because I tend to talk in circles, so I hope I didn't do that. Thank you so much for watching, and that's it for today. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.